Well, I tell you what, this is a great seminar so far today. I'm really excited about the next discussion area, which is redefining service with Badger Daylighting and Canon Medical. And we have two great examples of service transformation, starting with Paul Parsons, the Director of Service from Canon Medical, as well as Pradeep, VP of IT Strategy at Badger Daylighting. And these are two great examples of transformation around service and really providing that digital experience to the customer. So thank you very much for participating, Paul and Pradeep. So let me start with Paul. Paul, what challenges did your business face in 2020?
Thank you, Scott. Well, 2020, I think for most of us, would be a year to remember in many ways. Canon Medical, as you may be aware, are very much in healthcare providers. We provide high-end diagnostic equipment to the healthcare provision, and was very much, some of our portfolio products were very much critical care equipment to fight COVID-19. So you can understand that actually our participation last year is accelerated where we needed to be as an organization. For us, we needed to be seen not just participating in supporting the pandemic, but actually trying to get across to our customers a level of superior service support to bring down those stress levels for those healthcare workers. Anxiety was a major thing in those early days, not only with our customers, but also for our internal staff. So for us, it's how we could manage continuing to support our customers when our own staff were nervous going into hospital environments, but also give the reassurances to our end users that we were on top of our game, that we understood the strains and pressures in that environment. And most importantly, we gave a reassurance that our service delivery would continue as it did pre-pandemic, Scott. So for us, I think it's accelerated us and matured us probably 3 or 4 years in that 1 year to make sure that we really understand the dynamics of this kind of industry and how, as a provider of high-end diagnostic equipment to healthcare, how we need to be on top of our game at all times, 7 days a week.
Thank you very much, Paul. That's fantastic. So Pradeep, let me ask you the same question. What challenges did your business face in 2020?
Thanks, Scott. I think it's twofold for us. We completed our digital transformation end of 2019, going into 2020, and then got hit by pandemic. So we are dealing with go lives and post go lives and stabilization after the big transformation of the implementing the end-to-end ERP, and at the same time moving everybody into the digital world, working remotely. And we as a Badger Daylighting is an essential service, help utilities and construction. So we cannot stop doing our business in the field. So supporting that, it's a lot of challenges, but I think having this digital capabilities, Oracle on the cloud, and the SaaS as a service helped us to kind of continue the business without interruption. At the same time, doing the business safely. Example being making sure we're not physically interacting with the customers, but using our devices to get those communications going, right? We need to do that on the fly so that we can continue our business. So there's a lot of challenges around that and how we dealt with and really accelerated all our transformation in a brisk pace. But it's a humongous challenges in terms of getting the business up and running the way we want to and service our customers.
Wow, that's really exciting. In a very sad time, it was exciting you were able to accelerate this. So back to you, Paul. What changes have you implemented? And then could you elaborate on the customer experience and where Canon Medical is going?
Thank you, Scott. Yes, I think, we've listened to Pradeep. I think we're not as far down the digitization route as many organizations. In the past, Scott, we have reflected more on a relationship type of transaction with our customers and putting that personal touch. But what we saw through last year and early this year, that actually customers just want their resolution quicker and on time. So some of the things that we've implemented so far, in fact, it may sound very strange, but we've almost stepped back a pace, I would say, Scott. The most important thing for me and the team was actually identifying what our customers want, what are their needs, what are their expectations. And I think we thought we understood it prior to the pandemic, but we didn't fully understand it, nor did we need to be fair. So I think that understanding what our customer needs. So very much about remote maintenance. We've moved a lot of our services to remote based, and that's dialing in into the equipment. Predictive maintenance, very much to make sure that unplanned downtime is not a factor in a customer care and healthcare predicament. A lot more in self-serve. So we've created a lot more self-training videos. So where you have users that are not that familiar with our complex equipment, they can log on and look at a tutorial, and that then restricts or reduces the need for an engineer or an applications team to visit site and do on-site training. So everything is about moving us from more of a sort of reacting to these customers' issues to much more about preemptive customer service and predictive customer service. So remote diagnostic software, alerts, and as an organization, much more focus in that predictive work. So that's really what has transformed us over the last 9 to 12 months for sure.
Well, that sounds excellent, Paul. I wouldn't be ashamed of that. I think you've done a really, really good job there, because I think this acceleration really benefits your customers. And we see a lot of this is moving to more of a contactless service environment and much more predictive. We talked a lot about that earlier in today's session. So let me turn it back to you, Pradeep. What changes have you implemented, as well as what's the new experience for your customer?
From the changes standpoint, it's a change both from the internal and as well as external, right? Because once we do the big digital transformation, now we have a lot of things that we digitized and organized from the data perspective, from the operations and the rollout perspective. But at the same time, from the external customer standpoint, they are getting these digital services where they can do a signature on the iPad, right? Now we have an acknowledgement from the customer the service was provided. At the same time, we need to make sure that that information is flowing to the customer back and forth, so that we can get that demand from the business in a timely manner, so that we can shore up our resources internally. So if you look at it, the holistic digitization outcome is the data, right? So we can have all this data that we can collect and act on top of it. Getting a daily revenue report, getting a weekly revenue report is a bliss for the leadership team to make sure we make those decisions timely and swiftly, so that it can help our revenue, right? So that's the foundation thing that we're able to do it very well, not only from the internal change standpoint, but also external customer facing and service standpoint.
Wow, I'm really glad you mentioned data, because as we're working with our customers and they're just getting going in their transformation journey, especially around service, data is the last thing that most of our customers think about. And it's really, when you go to digital, there is no front office and back office, and there is no sales and service, right? Data is going to be the driver for your customers around contactless service, leveraging IoT, which Paul mentioned. And it's just great to hear how much progress you've made. But when it comes to the bottom line, Paul, what results have you seen in terms of customer loyalty or satisfaction, or maybe even better, in your business?
I think it's many. I think, as Pradeep says, data is king at the moment, and I think understanding that customer journey and what channels they're wishing to use and are willing to use, Scott, is very important to us. This is not about pushing people into a channel that isn't right or appropriate. So it's understanding those channels and then reflective on that. So for us, it's very much about making sure that the answer to their query, for whatever way that is responded to effectively, quickly, and to be honest, at the lowest cost to us as well. So some of the results that we've seen, actually, we've seen a higher net promoter score from our customers, particularly after unplanned events like breakdowns of systems, where you would expect that the stress levels are so high that actually they're not happy that they've got a problem. But we're seeing increased net promoter scores, and on average over the last 12 months since the pandemic, it's well into its 90% net promoter score. So that's really good. And actually, the most important thing for me, or equally as important, is an actually increase in our employee engagement. And we've just concluded an employee engagement We're 92% engaged employees across all disciplines, and that's just not service, sales, applications, office and field-based. And that's never been as high. So actually what we've been allowed, or we've done, is making sure that actually we're engaging more with our field-based teams, that they feel involved and part of that decision making. So, and that adds to our customer experience in our view. Making sure that, for sure, as Prandeep said, having that intelligence, having that data for us to make intelligent decisions on what we want to do next. And I think that data is key to making sure that those decisions are right, and also a vision around where we want to be, not only in the next 6 months, 12 months, but longer vision in that. So actually, to answer your question, Scott, I think we're a much more resilient organization. We understand our business better, and we're engaging better with our customers and employees. So that sets a good foundation for us going forward, I feel.
Well, congratulations, you've done well. As you mentioned, you would think in a pandemic, those scores would drop significantly. And the fact that you were able to accelerate those, not just with the customers, but also with your employees, that's just a great feat. And I congratulate you for that. Now, Pradeep, what are the results from Badger? How have you improved different scores similar to what Paul was talking about?
Yeah, at Badgers, as Paul mentioned, we don't have the NPMS score yet, where we're working through that process now that we have the systems to go and reach out to them. My next call is about that, ironically, with the sales and marketing. So we are getting there, Scott, from the overall digitization standpoint. But what we're able to understand is what are the things that we can do better internally. Example, the area managers are now working on X percentage on administrative work, how we can automate that, how we can move it to a shared services kind of a process where they can go focus on working with the customers more closely now that we have the systems. We recently moved from iPads to Microsoft Surface Pro so that we can get better experience in terms of Oracle utilization on these and can better serve the customer, right? We're making the steps towards how we can interact with customers on the field right there so that we can serve them better, right? So we are working on those aspects of it, and then start measuring about how the customers are reacting to our changes. But at this point in time, we're focusing on internal team to get better with the technology with the recent rollouts and equip the teams to go start using better and then go from there. So a lot of changes in our organization about how to support those teams on the field and get the better customer experience. That's where we are now at this point in time.
Pradeep and Paul, thank you very much. I knew you were great examples, but you guys really delivered today. And the fact that you can accelerate your business, getting to know your customers better and improve your business during a pandemic is great examples for all of us. Paul, can you wrap up this session with the amazing chart you showed us in terms of what your long-term transformation goals are?
Thank you, Scott. Yeah, I put this down really as a more of a pictorial view for us as a group to understand our longer term objectives. In the past, we were trying to optimize our channel strategy, but actually, the business needs to be able to push customers into that digital first. It really is a 24-hour, 7 days a week opportunity for us to give better support to our customers, reduce cost, and hopefully improve that customer experience. Where we do have live interaction, and I'm a great believer of that, will be around for many years to come. I hope so, because I think that is what we're about, is rather than just being empathetic, that actually we need to be a bit more prescriptive. We've got to be telling our customers what they need to do. We've got to some degree, take more charge of the event or the problem. And the rest you can see, the service goal for sure. It's about not just about deflection. For us, it's channel stickiness. How easy is it for a customer to move from us to a competitor? But actually, they need to see the value that we bring, and we've got to demonstrate that value. And it's not just value in dollars or pounds or euros. Its value is, can they use that equipment more effectively after our intervention than they did before? And then that drives confidence. Where we see confidence, we see repeat business, we see increased revenues, we see better profitability. So that for us is a massive measure for us. And lastly, that engagement, as I've said all along, It's about not being a reactive organization that's too costly and actually is difficult to manage, being prescriptive, preemptive, and making sure we're ahead of the problems, and therefore our customer levels of satisfaction, NPS, improves, hopefully significantly.
Paul and Pradeep, thank you very much. I greatly appreciate you spending time with us today. I know our audience has learned a lot. You're shining examples of what looked like a dark time and how you're able to improve your business, and more importantly, accelerate your transformation service for your customers. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Scott.